Hey, gun people. Well, this is make sure and throw these people who are exposing this on crooked government, throw them a like. So this is on Jody Barr. I don't know how I got this video, but prosecution of a Texas cop charged with beating an arrestee is detained again or delayed again.
Sir, it's a case we followed in our position of power investigations. Now, as the nation is scrutinizing police abuse cases, there's a new setback in this case out of Hutto. A Williamson County grand jury indicted former officer Gregory Parris 14 months ago on 2 counts of assault and official oppression. KXAN investigator Jody Barr went to the Williamson County Courthouse where Parris was scheduled for a hearing today.
Well, this is now the 5th time that a hearing for this officer did not happen as planned.
So 5th time they've delayed it. And again, government always wants to drag out their misconduct lawsuits and charges because time is always on the side. The longer it goes, the more chance a witness is confused. When it goes to court, the attorneys can say, it's been over 3 years since this happened. Is your recollection really that good? You know, so they want to prolong this. Witnesses can get in car accidents. Witnesses can become ill. Witnesses can be out of the country and can't appear in court. So the longer you wait, the better.
The prosecutor in this case tells me, though, these cancellations are routine and also blames the pandemic for the reason why this case has now gone 14 months without getting before a jury.
14 months, they've charged this guy. They're trying to plead with the defendant. If they can plead with the defendant, the DA will cut some sweetheart deal. If this goes to criminal trial before they get a plea on the civil side, this guilty verdict will help the civil case tremendously, and they'll get more money. I mean, when somebody's convicted of a crime and then you sue them civilly, it's an automatic win. The burden of proof of criminal is much, much higher than civil. So it's just presumed that if you're guilty in criminal court, you're absolutely guilty in civil. In civil, you only have to tip the scales 51% to 49%, and you win. In criminal, you have to get beyond a reasonable doubt above moral certainty. So it's a much, much higher standard to get a criminal conviction. That's why if you get a criminal conviction, the civil case is an automatic win, which is why they always want to settle the civil case before any criminal goes to trial, unless they think they're going to win. Then they'll be like, oh no, we don't want to settle because we think we're going to win. And when we don't win, you're going to have less bargaining power because now you don't have a criminal. So, I mean, and anytime you can hold off, the civil trial wants to use all the testimony and evidence that's put in at the criminal. Now they have this wealth of information that if somebody gets on a stand during the civil trial and they contradict what they did in the criminal, you have all this great information. So the civil case always does better after the criminal case has run its course. Unless they don't get a conviction and you don't get any new information, then it doesn't help you.
Parris was charged after he arrested Jeremy Rogers in 2008.
And let me say, I'm glad this cop was charged. But Ricky's a white man. I don't give a shit about color, all this color crap. Government tyranny is bullshit. I don't care what color, sex, nationality they are. It's bullshit. This cop punched this guy and he didn't need to. And he was being macho and tough. And the female officer, his boss, was right there and watched it and did nothing. And then they both lied in their reports. So I'm glad they got charged. And I hope they get convicted.
Rogers was standing in a friend's driveway drinking a beer when Parris claimed police got a call from a neighbor about a marijuana smell coming from a Hutto home. The video shows Parris search Rogers, then demand to see his ID.
Okay, so guy's drinking in his friend's yard, which is private property. Unless he steps out in public property, or in public, there's not a crime there. Now, marijuana, I can't believe they still arrest people in Texas for freaking marijuana. It's just crazy. It's like we got nothing else better to do than fill the jails up with somebody out there smoking a little weed. Are you kidding me?
Parris then demands Rogers hand over his wallet. When Rogers refuses, the video shows Parris punch him in the face and continues beating him while on the ground. Rogers, who is suing the city of Hutto and Parris over this, suffered what his attorney described as a closed head injury and had to have part of his ear sewn back up.
Okay, when you lose a body part like a nose, an eye, or an ear, or a finger, that's called mayhem. That is a very serious felony. You maim somebody for life. Now, they were able to reattach his ear, but this cop has some serious charges. Now, of course, in the report, both the female officer and the cop lied and said this guy violently pushed him in the chest and the officer felt pain. Did you see that in the video? I'm going to show you another angle of the video in a second.
On. The video also shows Hutto officer Jamie Alcacer standing by during Rogers' beating and did not intervene.
Oh, she was just a good witness. She was protecting the blue line. She was a hero. Rick, all cops are heroes. Okay.
Hutto Police Chief Paul Hall told us last year the public shouldn't rely on the video alone in this case.
Well, of course he's going to say that. His officer looks like shit in the video. Of course he's going to. What do you expect the chief to come out and say, that officer was out of control, I totally disagree with it, I fired him immediately, and now the civil case just got doubled. Because now we got the police chief as a witness. The police chief still works for the city, and he works for the city attorney and the people who are defending the city to pay out money. So, of course, they're going to have a company line. Nobody tells the freaking truth.
This isn't a question about the ongoing litigation, but do you believe in the ability of these two officers to continue to police in Hutto?
Pause. What should I say? Yeah, I better say yeah, because I haven't fired either one of them.
I certainly do believe that. Too often, we look at the one bad incident out of 19,000 calls.
Oh, here we go. I love the stat people that want to come here. There's over 1 million cops, and we only see like maybe 100 videos. You've lost your freaking mind. Every contact I see, cops are outrageous. I can't remember the last contact that I've seen in person or on video where the cops actually did a good job. Very far and few between.
For service, 19,000 contacts, and we picked out one thing.
Picked out one thing. Are you kidding me? I did a check on this police department. There's all kind of shit about shooting. This officer got fired for theft. I mean, there's all kind of crap on this department. This officer's like, we pick out one thing. Really? Lies.
That's less than 1.0001111%. So I want people to keep that in mind.
We've got video. There's an indictment in the case. There are allegations in a civil lawsuit at this point. You believe those three things together may not tell the complete story here?
I believe it does not tell the complete story.
So the prosecutor, the DA that dropped the charges on the suspect, the DA that charged the cop after reviewing the evidence, and it's very hard to get an eviction of a cop, and they usually don't charge cops unless it's very egregious. So the DA that charged the cop was wrong, and you think both these cops should be working, and you haven't fired either one. Matter of fact, you paid the guy who did this 10 months vacation. He was on leave getting full pay for 10 months.
There's another side to this.
There is another side.
Well, Hutto City Hall confirmed today that Gregory Parris is no longer with the city. The city tells me he was laid off in late March as part of a massive citywide job cut. All
right, how many of you idiots out there believe that this guy got laid off because of the coronavirus? Put your hand up, you freaking dummy. They didn't lay him off because of coronavirus. They laid him off and said it was a coronavirus, so they couldn't say they fired him because of this incident, because it would make the civil case worse. If they said we fired him, then they'd be like, you know what? You fired him because he was wrong, and we know you're wrong, and that helps the civil case. So they say, no. We were going to keep him. We kept him on leave for 10 months on pay, but when we had to do cuts because of coronavirus, he was one of the unlucky, unfortunate ones to get laid off. Aww. It's a shame. He was a good officer, Rick. Okay.
Related to the COVID pandemic, although Parris is no longer with the city now. He did spend 10 months under paid leave while under indictment. His next hearing in his criminal prosecution is set for August. His attorney, though, tells me that Parris wants a jury trial and does not have any plan to sign a plea agreement in this case. As far as his federal civil case against the city of Hutto and the 2 officers, that is still pending tonight from the Williamson County Court.
Of course it's still pending. So here's another video on this case where it shows a little bit clearer video footage. And this is from KXAN. Let me throw them a like and we'll watch the video.
Push on me.
A Hutto police officer who beat a man during a 2018...
Notice the female officer that keeps the light so the officer can tell, you know, where to hit his guy and get his punks. It also blinds the suspect so he can't defend himself. So the female officer, you know, she was just being a good witness.
Push on me.
A Hutto police officer who beat a man during a 2018 arrest faces years in prison if he's convicted.
So what happens when an officer is charged with a crime?
It's been 5 months since a Williamson County grand jury indicted Officer Gregory Parris. Now KXAN investigator Jody Barr has obtained the body camera video that's at the center of a lawsuit against 2 officers and the city.
The Hutto Police Department has him on leave. They've had him there for 5 months. He's still collecting a paycheck. So we wanted to understand the city's process for investigating its own.
Put your phone down, put your hands up on the truck real fast. What? Because I'm telling you to.
For what? Because I'm telling you to. Because I'm the law. Because I got a badge. Because I'm the man in blue. And if you cross me, I will punch you. And if you fight back, I'll charge you with a felony assault on an officer. Because all the things are because I have backup. Because we have guns. And because you're nothing but a pesky, low-life citizen out there working, trying to make a living. That's why, Mr. Freaking it just pisses me off.
Put your phone down, put your hands up on the truck real fast. What? Because I'm telling you to. Dude, don't do that. Put your hands up on the truck, man.
So he's already assaulted and put hands on him. The guy's just confused, like, dude, what do you want? What's going on? How about explaining to me? How about letting me know what crime I committed? Rick, he doesn't have to do that. He's the police. You're just picking on him. You should just listen to the police and comply, and then you wouldn't have any problems. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for one. Scoot your feet. Scoot your feet.
Hutto Police Officer Greg.
I looked at the tattoo in slow motion several times. I think it says Milan LeBay, which is come and take it.
Gregory Parris and his boss, Officer Jamie Alcazar.
His boss was there. Look at this fine specimen of a female officer. Look at her little hashtag. She's been a cop for a long time. She's really good at shining her flashlight while this guy beats the hell out of the guy.
Ended up on Page Bend Drive, claiming someone called in a smell coming from one of the homes.
Well, you smell like weed right now, man. As well as the alcohol. Yeah, you smell it on your shirt.
They found Jeremy Rogers standing in his friend's driveway, drinking a cold one. The video shows Officer Parris search Rogers, then demand to see his ID.
You get your ID on you? My ID on me. You don't have anything with any sort of identification on there? Can I see your wallet?
Nope.
Give me your wallet.
Would you have probable cause?
Yeah, how about you go to jail right now for public intoxication?
Well, actually, he's on private property, so I'm not sure if public. Does Texas consider a driveway on a private property public now?
But why? I didn't step out of this.
Then, without warning or any directions from the officer,
Push him.
Don't push on me. Now remember, this officer puts, he violently pushed me in the chest, and I felt pain, or my chest hurt. Watch this push, people.
I didn't step out of this.
then, without warning or any directions from the officer,
Push on me.
I didn't push on you, dude.
Get on the ground.
I think you.
Officer Parris punched Rogers in the face. While on the ground, Parris continues punching the man, radios for help, then hits Rogers with a taser.
Arthur County, we don't fight. Hands behind your back.
In the video, Parris immediately explained his side to a nearby witness.
Because he pushed me. He shoved me. It's on camera.
The victim filed a federal lawsuit in February accusing Officer Parris of excessive force and both officers of false arrest. The lawsuit claims both officers lied about the details of the arrest to make sure the district attorney's office prosecuted Rogers. Officer Parris typed in his reports that Rogers violently shoved him in the chest.
Everybody see that violent shove? I mean, that's just flat out lying. That's filing false court documents. That's perjury. Well, it's not a sworn statement. Although you sign it, it's not signed under penalty of perjury, which probably wouldn't be a bad law. When police officers or politicians sign any document, it ought to be under penalty of perjury to stop that bullshit from signing shit like this and not being able to charge with a crime.
The shove partially knocking me off balance and causing pain to my chest.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? That cop was twice as big as this kid. He had 2 officers there. The guy was drinking peacefully in a driveway. The only complaint was a smell of marijuana. And this macho tough cops decide to start punching on a guy that can't fight back and still charges him with a felony. Oh, man, cops are just... And this is Texas. Everybody's like, man, Arizona cops are the worst. I'm telling you, man, Texas cops are freaking out of control just as much as any other place.
Rogers continued to resist arrest by flailing his arms and pushing away.
Maybe he was flailing his arms to protect his face from getting punched. Maybe he was pushing away a guy that was violently attacking him. No, Rick. He's a pesky citizen. He doesn't have that right to defend himself. It's the blue line, the code of the blue, the brotherhood, the heroes protecting us. Yeah, okay.
Officer Parris wrote in his report. The lawsuit claims Rogers was merely reacting to the officer grabbing his head.
I mean, why would this officer suddenly grab this guy by the head and push him down for not giving him his wallet? Doesn't say turn around, you're under arrest, give me your arm. Doesn't say anything. Just grabs the guy in the head and pushes it down like he's going to get kneed. Of course the guy's going to be like, what the fuck's going on? What are you doing?
Something Rogers' side argues is what any person would do to defend themselves during an assault. Rogers ended the night in the hospital.
Are you okay if I wrap that on there?
Before the officers hauled him off to jail. Officer Parris filed 3 charges against Rogers: public intoxication, felony assault on an officer, and resisting arrest. 2 months later, Williamson County prosecutors dropped all charges.
2 months later. It took 2 months for the DA to figure out that we shouldn't charge. You know what happened in those 2 months? They tried to probably get this kid to plea bargain to some bullshit so they could count as a win. And then when they went for their budget next year, they say, look how many cases we had to prosecute. Look how many wins we got. So they tried to force a plea, and when the guy wouldn't plea, they went, there's no way we can put this lying bullshit in front of a jury, so we have to drop the charges. That's why it took 2 months.
In February, Jeremy Rogers sued the city of Hutto and officers Parris and Alcocer. Then in May, a year after the assault, Williamson County prosecutors charged Officer Parris with assault and official oppression.
A year later to charge the cop. 2 months to drop the charges on a guy that didn't do shit, and a year later to charge the cop. Well, Rick, at least they charged him. I'm tired of people justifying government incompetence, saying at least, and well, they could have not done anything. And you want to accept the continued incompetence and lies of government. Government should be held to the standard. There's no reason it should take a year to charge this freaking cop. And now it's taken another year and he still hasn't even been in court yet.
Hutto Police Chief Paul Hall took Parris after the assault. Williamson County prosecutors charged Officer Parris with assault and official oppression. Hutto Police Chief Paul Hall took Parris off patrol in May, but not off the force. Officer Parris has been on paid leave ever since. Alcocer, accused of standing by and not stopping the assault and arrest, and of also writing false information into and signing off on the police reports. She's still on patrol.
Still on patrol, still arresting people, still going to testify. See, every defense attorney, there needs to be a national database on cops. There really does. I mean, anytime one of these cops go to trial, it ought to be, have you ever lied on a police report, officer? And when they say no, you show the video. And when they say yes, their credibility goes to shit. And any jury will be like, dude, if you lied before, you'll lie again. And I guarantee you it ain't the first time they've done it. I mean, it's just crazy. You never got me on a stand or in a report saying, if you ever lied, I'd be like, hell no, I ain't never lied. And you ain't going to prove I lied because it ain't fucking happening. So, I mean, it's just crazy that there's not some national database that somebody keeps track of every officer on how many freaking resisting arrests they file. You know, when an officer has, and California did this for a while, the DA was keeping tabs on how many 148s. And when cops started getting like 10, 15, and 20, they were like, dude, man, they're going to start fucking coming after you or something. Those cops stopped charging 148. 148 is resisting arrest. So they stopped charging 148s. I mean, in Texas, it's like the catch-all. And it seems like every state, it's the catch-all. If you do anything I don't like, I'll just charge you for resisting arrest. And I'll lock you up, and I'll charge you with a felony, and I'll make you get a lawyer, and I'll put you through misery, and I'll make your life hell, and then the DA will just dismiss the charges. And there's absolutely zero repercussions for the officer doing that. That's fucking bullshit, people.
The chief would not talk about the specifics of the case, but also wouldn't explain the process of what happens internally when an officer is charged with a crime. Does that trigger your internal investigative processes, or what happens at that point?
Well, like I said, we're going to address on a case-by-case.
Well, we don't have an internal process. We usually try to cover for the officer, whichever way we can, delay and keep him in, we don't have a process. Shit, if we have a process, then you'd be telling us we didn't follow it. And we don't want that. Nice cover, Chief.
Well, like I said, we're going to address on a case-by-case situation.
We filed an open records request with the city to show you Parris and Alcacer's employee files. The city won't turn those over and has asked the Attorney General's office to block us from getting those public records. And this isn't a question about the ongoing litigation, but do you believe in the ability of these two officers to continue to police in Hutto?
I certainly do believe that. I certainly do believe in that. Too often, we look at the contact.
We've already heard this.
All
right, look. I can't find anything else on this case. It'll be interesting to see if this guy goes in front of a jury, if a jury holds him accountable. So anybody gets any updates, make sure and put it in the comments, because it'll pop up a new comment, and I'll do a follow-up if I can get some more information. All right, we'll end that there.